why Beverly Hills Cop 2 is the ultimate 80s action sequel. Hollywood Insiders. Welcome back to Hollywood Insiders. Today, we are heading back to the palm trees and crime scenes of Southern California to put the spotlight on the smash hit 1980s comedy balance. The original grounded the action in realism, such as the opening truck chase through the gritty streets of Detroit. It relied heavily on Eddie Murphy's comedic timing and his sly ability to bluff his way through situations. The sequel significantly increased the frequency and scale of action. It featured more elaborate sequences, including a cement mixer chase and a final shootout with far more gunpowder. Critics noted it felt more like a traditional detective action film than a pure comedy. Character evolution. Axel Foley. In the first film, Axel stayed under the radar using his wits. In the sequel, he became more insolent and ostentatious, driving a brand new Ferrari and wearing more stylized wardrobe. Rosewood and Taggart. The sequel leaned into the politicization of the Beverly Hills PD, forcing the straight-laced detectives to adopt Axel's reckless methods to get results. For tone and pacing, the original, noted for its spark and spontaneity and a laid-back vibe. The sequel, described as louder and more brutal. The pacing was tighter, with much of the final 45 minutes being one continuous action sequence. Eddie Murphy himself later described the sequel as less spontaneous and a rehash, compared to the original. While modern audiences may be surprised at just how much gritty action takes place in Cop I, Brest's film is a comedy, first and foremost. The film lives and dies because of the prowess of its comedic lead. The visual language was glossy enough and the action set pieces were effective. But they were not the film's calling cards. When you hire the late Tony Scott to helm an expensive blockbuster, be prepared to be handed the most visually dynamic and expressive shots imaginable. Critically maligned during his life, Scott was unfairly labeled as all style and no substance. While not a prime candidate for a film school lecture, Scott carries distinct visual characteristics, satisfying the basis of auteur theory in film scholarship. These traits include saturated colors, kinetic camera movements, and slick photography. At the time, his aesthetic was cited as the root of all the problems of 1980s cinema. Flashy visuals with empty themes constructed by people, born from commercials and music videos. Scott, the true predecessor to Michael Bay, directed films with an urgency that often evolves into brashness. The kinetic spirit of his colors and camera movements apply to his text as well, usually depicting unflinchingly violent and crude protagonists, including Bruce Willis' grizzled private eye in The Last Boy Scout or Denzel, Washington's revenge-fueled bodyguard in Man On, Fire when studios greenlit a sequel to a big hit like Beverly Hills Cop. They were likely imagining a safe investment, nothing too esoteric or boundary pushing. When you have a beloved American icon like Eddie Murphy, keeping him wholesome is the right move from a financial perspective. In Cop 2, while never turning heel, Axel Foley is noticeably insolent compared to the original, where his sly personality allowed him to stay under the radar. Axel's overbearing persona in the sequel is demonstrated in Murphy's ostentatious performance, stylized wardrobe, and a brand new Ferrari. For better or worse, Murphy hijacks every scene to riff. These scenes, when Murphy takes on an alias or connives his way through an obstacle, appear to be heavily improvised. If his ad-libbing was seamless in the first movie, viewers could see the proverbial sweat while Murphy attempts to steal every scene. The studio's tepid response to the initial screening of Beverly Hills Cop II indicates the radical changes Tony Scott brought to the Axel Foley story. There are not considerably more action scenes in Cop 2, but the fervor and explosiveness of each set piece outweigh all the rudimentary shootouts, and chase sequences in Cop by Scott sets the tone immediately with a blistering jewelry store heist orchestrated by an antagonist, Carla Fry Brigitte Nielsen. There isn't a thing on the screen that is impervious to an explosion. All the heist sequences are the standouts of the film, and they make you wish that Scott directed a heist thriller at some point in his career. Every Simpson Bruckheimer film is associated with virtuosic action sequences, bright colors, and a distinct 1980s aesthetic. And Cop I seem to have checked all the boxes. When Scott came along to direct the sequel, Martin Brest's film retroactively looked tame. All aspects of Cop 2 are generally louder, from Murphy's delivery, the addition of a new belligerent police chief played by Alan Garfield, and the violent nature of the action scenes. Scott emphasizes the destruction in the wake of the action scenes, as seen in the carnage caused by the chase sequence when Rosewood Judge Reinhold chases one of the perpetrators in a cement mixer truck, the iconic synthpop score that defined the first. Film plays seemingly on repeat throughout the sequel during the climactic shootout between Foley, Rosewood, and Taggart John Ashton and the Alphabet Crimes gang. All-out warfare ensues with heavy weaponry. The jump in stakes and spectacle predates the Fast and the Furious audacious leap from petty, and the Dirty Harry series. Not only does Axel carry himself like the preeminent super cop, but Rosewood is armed with a magnum similar to Harry, Callahan's iconic weapon of choice. The upgrade in weaponry acts as a meta-commentary on the state of 80s action sequels and their maximalist approach